We got 8 steps to our sales process. 8. Write that down and don't forget it, because you have to train your staff. You can't train your staff if you don't know the data. 8 steps to the sales process. Step number 1. Okay, can somebody tell us what step number 1 is?
Meet and greet.
Meet and greet. That's what I'm talking about. What is important about the meet and greet?
You want to break down the wall. You want to obviously a handshake, eye contact, give them some type of compliment to kind of bring the wall down, and then start going into the rest of it as well, asking questions about their goals and whatnot.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys about this one. I think, in all reality, this is one that we neglect the most. Because we see it in clubs where people come in for a PT assessment, front desk, they go to the front desk, and the front desk is like, how can I help you? And it's like, well, I'm here for some type of a assessment thing. I don't really know who it's with. And they're like, oh, just walk over to the sales area. Then you have a prospect walking into the sales area. They don't know who to talk to. Maybe they haven't met you in person. Maybe they just spoke to you on the phone. They're a little confused, a little lost. We can all agree that's not the way you want to start a sales process. So we want to have a very strong meet and greet so we can make that prospect feel like they're welcome, like we were prepared, like they're meeting with a friend. Okay? Perfect opportunity to build rapport, perfect opportunity to come off as a professional, perfect opportunity to come off confident. First impressions matter. I don't care what you guys say, people will judge you. When you're walking up to a prospect, either at the front desk or if they meet you in the sales area, and you look like a slob, I'm telling you right now, right off the rip, they're not trusting anything you're saying. So looking sharp is very important for that first impression. Now, you guys know me, when it comes to every step of our sales process and the way we run our business, the way I run these calls, I always like to take things to the next level. How can I make the experience for the prospect even better? One of the things I did when I used to do the meet and greet, again, I was dissecting my job. How can I get better at it? How can I create a better experience? And one of the things that I was able to identify as an easy way to add more value to the meet and greet is I would look up the person's picture in FDMT. If I hadn't met them at POS, I'll look up their picture in FDMT. And look, I had gotten really good at confirmations at the time, so I knew about 95% of the time if somebody was going to show up or not. And when I had an appointment coming in, what I would do is I would go over to the front desk and I would start checking people in. Okay, I'm waiting on my prospect to come in, but at that same time, I'm looking for people who are checking in who have not done their PT assessment. So I'm scheduling and waiting for my prospect at the same time. When I would see the prospect walking up to the front door, again, I had looked up their picture in FDMT, I would walk around the desk and I would open up the front door and I would go, Mrs. Jones, how are you today? Just like a 5-star hotel does. It does something to the vibe. When you roll that red carpet out right off the rip, first step of that sales process, guys, it makes it so much easier to build a relationship, make a friend with this person, and get this prospect to actually start opening up. They start with a smile on their face. They say, look, when I used to do this, guys, when I used to open up that door and welcome people in, I'd say, Mrs. Jones, it's so great to see you. I'm looking forward to working with you today. I told you I was going to roll the red carpet out. Get in here. Man, they start laughing right off the rip. I've never had anybody at a gym do this for me before. That one step, part of that step, closing percentage increase 10 to 20%, guaranteed. If you do that with every one of your prospects, look at your closing percentage today, start doing it tomorrow, and watch your closing percentage go up just from that one extra effort with the meet and greet. Now, what's the quickest and easiest way to build rapport?
Compliment.
Man, you got to spit it out fast when you meet that prospect. I don't care what the compliment is. Shoes, hair, belt, whatever, okay? Just give them a compliment. something that you can talk about, and I guarantee if you give them a compliment right off the rip, you're going to be starting that appointment off on the right foot. So the meet and greet, I just spent about 6 to 7 minutes on the meet and greet. It's important, and it's an easy way to take your game to the next level if you just put a little bit of attention on it with you and your staff. Show your staff. Say, hey, look, the next person that comes in for my appointment, I'm going to do what we talked about on the conference call, and I want you guys to watch the reaction of this prospect. Show them. It works. I've done it. Try it, guys. Step number 2. What's step number 2 of our sales process?
FAQ.
FAQ. Yeah, we went through the FAQ yesterday. Learn to become a master at asking great questions and, most importantly, getting the answers you're looking for. Somebody give me the 4 reasons why we do an FAQ.
Try and make a friend, collect information, overcome objections, and
Gauge and rate the temperature.
Got it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Okay, we're going to collect data. How are you going to sell someone something if you don't know what they need or want? How are you going to sell someone something if you don't know what problem you're trying to solve? The only person who would sell somebody something without asking some questions first is a thief, in my opinion. Because you could be selling somebody something that they don't need. You don't know because you didn't have a conversation. So we got to collect data and figure out how we can help this person. Which problems can we solve? We need to identify and overcome objections. I talked about this yesterday. It is critical when you get to the close. If you've done that in the FAQ, when you get to the close and they try to use one of those objections that you overcame in the FAQ, guys, it's so easy to overcome that objection. We're going to also use it to gauge and raise the temperature of the prospect. Again, that conversation can be in a sales process. That's one of our steps. But that can also be a conversation while you're standing in line at Subway. I got on the line. You guys know I was out with the COVID situation a few weeks ago, and I had somebody from the Connecticut Board of Health call me when I tested positive when I first went on quarantine. And I'm talking to this lady, and she's asking me questions about the COVID and everything. And she said, well, okay, so what do you do for work? I guess that's one of the questions they have to ask. I said, I run a few locations. I work for LA Fitness. She said, oh, you know what? I've been wanting to get back into the gym. And I said, oh, you know what? Maybe it's meant to be. I moved that conversation from her collecting data from me, and I went into an FAQ with the lady from the Connecticut State Board of Health who called me about COVID. I got her on the line with the GM of the closest gym, and she just called me. This was a couple weeks ago. She just called me yesterday to tell me that she had signed up on a personal training program also, and she wanted to thank me for connecting her with the GM of the club and getting her started on her fitness journey. I'm so used to looking for potential prospects that it doesn't matter if I'm at work. The flags go up and the conversation moves into the FAQ. And the last reason is we want to build rapport. Guys, I'm telling you, again, compliments. I talked about the example yesterday where I went into talking about having the lady talk about her dog. Okay, it could be about work. Maybe they're in a career that you've done in the past. Man, that's so easy to build a relationship with that person. You've got so much in common. Rapport is very important on the FAQ also. What's step number 3 of our sales process, guys? Anybody?
Body composition.
Okay. I appreciate that, Kamani. What's the 3 reasons, Kamani, that we do the body comp?
We want to set goals. Someone help me out.
Somebody help Kamani out. Why do we check body composition?
set a timeline.
Okay, so we got goals, we got timeline. What else? One more.
creating a game plan?
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you guys. Guys, we gotta write this stuff down. Okay, because if I'm going through a PT sales process and I get to body comp, I understand exactly what the purpose of this step is. I'm not gonna go to the next step without hitting all three of these points. In fact, I don't even have to think about it because the process that I take prospects through on the body comp is the same exact thing every single time. The numbers are different, the explanations are the same. We want to measure where they are right now. What's their body fat percentage? What's their weight, lean body mass, pounds of fat? We want to help them set goals. You know, what's the goal body fat percentage? How many pounds of fat do we need to lose? How many pounds of muscle do we need to gain? And if we're going to figure out where we're at and where we want to go, guys, it's critical that we figure out how long it's going to take to get there. Now, when it comes to showing them how long it's going to take to create a permanent change, we're going back to objections. Which objection does that help us overcome as PT salespeople?
Contract.
Commitment, time.
Why, Cam? Why?
Because you're setting up a long-term timeline to overcome any type of 6 or 12-month commitment issues. And then the time aspect is that I'm understanding it's going to take time for a change. People want results faster when it comes to fat loss, which is doable. But obviously muscle takes more time, and that's something that a lot of people don't consider when it comes to coming to the gym. They consider fat loss. So making them understand that concept sets up long-term programs versus more short-term.
Guys, I don't know if all of you have watched my PT drawings presentation. It's on my old YouTube channel. If you don't have the link, let me know. I'll send it to you. But I have a very simple way that I explain this, and I hardly ever, I'm not going to say never, okay? You're never going to say never, but very rarely did I get a contract objection. And if I did, I used that turnaround close, and I'm like, okay, Mrs. Jones, I know you're not, you're kind of worried about the 12 months, but let's go back to your body comp. Remember, in the past, you've gained the weight back every time you lost it because you didn't build muscle. And we talked about it earlier. For you to get to that maintenance phase, we're going to need to build about 10 pounds of muscle. So we're going to need to work with you for 12 months regardless. After the 12 months, you're going to be able to do it on your own. You can stay with us. I have some people been with us 10 years at some of our clubs, 15 years, paying $25 a session, believe it or not. But you have to understand that you have to build the muscle to create the permanent change. Now, can somebody give me the definition of the maintenance phase? I'm hitting you guys with a tough one.
At this point in time, it's when you turn your body to a more fat-burning machine. You actually basically made it to the point where you're increasing that lean muscle mass. That muscle is going to maintain how many calories you're passively burning, increasing that base metabolic rate, making you passively break down those extra calories, maintaining that weight, keeping your muscle the same, and keeping that body fat down.
Okay, I'm going to run you, and I like that, Cam. That's good. I'm going to run you guys through the verbiage that I like to use when I'm doing the body comp. And then we'll go to the next step. But I think this is critical when it comes to body composition. Remember, we need to identify all potential objections, and contract is a potential objection. There's 7 of them. All right, so Mrs. Jones, right now your lean body mass is at 100 pounds. The question I have for you, and look, I'm not testing you. I just want to make sure you understand what we're going through. Do you understand what lean body mass is? I'm going to say 90% of the time, if you ask it that way, they're going to say no. And that's when I say, that's okay. I'm just glad I asked. Now let me explain. Lean body mass tells us as a professional how much muscle you need to gain to get into what's called the maintenance phase. It's basically what you weigh with no body fat. So it's not what you're going to weigh when we're done. You don't have to worry about that, okay? But let me give you the definition of the maintenance phase. The maintenance phase is a point in your fitness journey where you've built enough muscle that you've raised your metabolism enough that it makes it much easier to maintain the results on your own. It's also a point where you've learned enough from working with a specialist that you can now design an effective strength training regimen, cardio regimen, and nutritional regimen. You've basically gotten healthy and you're living a healthy lifestyle on your own. That's the goal of the Pro Results program, is to get you into that maintenance phase. How does that sound, Mrs. Jones? Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, I've never done that before. Oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. That's what you're going to get if you explain it that way. So we got the meet and greet, FAQ, body comp. What's step number 4, guys?
Education.
Educate. Let me ask you guys this. Why do we do this step? What's the why behind this? Because I feel like some of us on this line don't do this step. When I left and I was running late, making the most money in the company, I had a huge whiteboard I did my education presentation on every single time. So I saw value in doing it. But I understood why I was doing it. Can somebody tell me a reason why we do the education step?
Increases your altitude. If you could, educate somebody on, like, how many pounds of fat they have versus how many pounds of lean body weight versus metabolism. Every 1 pound of lean muscle burns 50 calories a day, at rest, etc. Once they see you writing all this stuff on the paper, it increases your altitude.
Man, Ryan's using my type of terms, man. It's going to raise your altitude in the sale. It's going to give you more credibility, perceived credibility from the prospect. Now, these presentations, the template is the same for every prospect, but the way you explain it is going to vary depending on the prospect's needs and wants. So you want to make sure that when you get that information in the FAQ, your presentation is not just a boring, generalized presentation. You're going to use that structure and you're going to customize it and you're going to make it a needs-based presentation. So it's definitely going to raise our credibility in the sale. It's going to educate the prospect on common myths in the fitness industry. When people come in wanting to lose weight in your clubs and you ask them what their game plan is, what do a lot of people tell us when they want to lose fat? Cardio. This education step gives you the opportunity to go through some of the science behind why cardio is not going to be effective, because this person in their mind is probably thinking, if you don't do this step, they're probably thinking, you know what, I don't care what this guy says. I'm going to do what I did last time when I lost weight. I'm just going to do it a little longer. I'm going to eat a little less and get the results I'm looking for. But if you educate them on why that's not going to be effective in this step, you don't have to worry about them having that internal objection. It's also going to put an emphasis on the importance of building muscle. Now, why is this important to us, the ones who sell personal training? Why is it important for us to educate our prospects on the importance of building muscle so they can create a permanent change? Can anybody tell me that? Rick, Ryan, Danny, you guys, I know you guys know this.
I would probably take the do-it-your-own avenue. So, most people say, I've lost weight before. I know how to do it. All I did was go on a diet, or all I did was go on a treadmill or go on a bicycle. You educate them that you actually have to build in order to lose. So you need to get to the maintenance phase to maintain these results for the rest of your life. So, people want to go up and down, fluctuate in weight. This is the journey that you've most likely been on already. Let's get yourself to a point in which we can actually get to where we're happy with our bodies or our goals, and then maintain that for the rest of your life.
Look, that's a perfect explanation to a prospect. I like that. But I'm looking for the why. I'm going to give it to you guys. We're going to show them the importance of building muscle because it takes resistance training to build muscle. Most people don't understand the science behind that. And that's another thing these drawings do, or this presentation does, is it shows some of the science behind the strength training regimen, but not enough to fully educate so they can do it on their own. It shows them just the basics. They're going to need our help to make that happen. So I want them to understand, look, doing cardio is not going to work. Let me show you why. Let me show you how complicated strength training is. I'm going to need help. That's what they're going to tell you. Now, do I do the educate step with every prospect? No. If you got an 18-year-old athlete in front of you who's trying to make it to his college football team, he's trying to make the team, you're not going to do this. You're going to rip them on the workout. So you need to be smart. But I'm going to say 75% of the people I get in front of, I'm going to be doing this 4th step. What's step number 5?
Workout.
Workout. How long should the workout be, Ryan?
Burn them out. Maybe 15 to 25 minutes.
Okay, guys, 10 to 15 minutes on the workout. 10 to 15 minutes on the workout. Now, some people might not say they might say that's not long enough. The people who are saying that's not long enough are not great trainers. Because great trainers can smoke check everyone from a basic beginner to a top level athlete in 15 minutes. Trust me, I've seen it. Now, how hard do we want to push these people? Well, it depends on injuries, limitations. Obviously, if you have somebody who has major injuries, you're not going to have them doing box jumps. You're going to push them more on controlling the range of motion, squeezing the muscle, anatomical alignment, keyword of the day. When I'm working with somebody who doesn't have those issues, I'm going to push them. I'm going to do active rest. I'm going to put them on a set of resistance training, target training, and then instead of them just standing there, looking around between sets, I might have them do a plank. I might have them do a wall sit. Use active rest to keep the heart rate up while you put tension on the muscle. You want them to get to the end of that 15 minutes, feel the muscle, feel the pump, but also be exhausted cardiovascular wise. Now, we don't want to send them to the hospital. You as a professional need to understand where that limitation is. You can see it on their face when you're training them. You can see it in the way they're talking. Read them. Ask them. I used to ask people all the time, how you feeling? Are you feeling nauseous? Yeah, I'm feeling nauseous. Oh, but sit down, we're done. My goal is not to push you over the edge, it's to push you to the edge. And if I keep going, you're going to throw up and you're going to maybe pass out. I don't want to do that. Now, let me explain something to you, okay? This is while the prospect is sitting down. You know how long we've been working out? Oh, I don't know. 15 minutes. And if I keep going, it could end up being a medical emergency. So for safety reasons, we need to stop. So look, we can both agree that we got some work to do, but I want to make sure that we do it safely. I want to make sure that you get the results, but you don't end up injuring yourself along the way. So today was 15 minutes. Maybe the next time might be 18 minutes. Okay, and let me explain something to you. That's why we only work people out for 25 minutes. I don't need to work with you for an hour. We're going to push you to the edge in 25 minutes. We only did 15 today. Let's go back to the desk and find a program that works for you. Next step. Can somebody tell me what step 6 is?
Program design.
Program design. There's two parts to this step. 6 questions on the way back to the desk and going through the journal. Come on, are you on?
I'm here, John.
What did we learn when John Kemp went to your club the other day and he sat down with you and your salespeople and he had them show him some of these steps? What did we learn about this step?
We learned that that step was necessary because if you're showing that it's building more value when you show them the journal and you actually show that we're going to be tracking through their results, because if we're not changing up their program, if we're not tracking their results, they're not going to improve. So we track them. We also do their nutrition, and that helps us build more value.
Look, guys, and I'm going to make a video about step 6 specifically, so we're going to go through the details. But a lot of this verbiage in all of these steps is just repeated over and over again in the same exact format. The way you explain the book should not vary from person to person. Maybe a couple things here and there, but the main structure of how you explain it needs to be the same every single time. The 6 questions you ask needs to be the same every single time. So let me go through these 6 questions because we're limited on time. Number 1, and it's important how you ask these questions, okay? I'm going to put this video on YouTube. Send your people there. They need to write it down the correct way. Mrs. Jones, give me 2 reasons that you Mrs. Jones, give me 2 reasons that you feel it was different today working with a professional compared to whenever you work out on your own. What are 2 reasons? Oh, man, he pushed me. Oh, man, I learned a bunch about form. Mrs. Jones is going to tell you every reason why she needs a personal trainer. Mrs. Jones, give me 2 things you learned about yourself today. Ryan, I was in Ryan's club. Ryan can tell you guys this. I had a guy literally tell me, I learned I need a personal trainer. What was the hardest thing we did today, Mrs. Jones? What was the easiest thing we did today, Mrs. Jones? The hardest is going to be the selling points. The easiest is, look, we don't want to always be negative. And I like to ask this last question, guys. This is a high five moment. Anytime you can high five a client or a prospect, it does something to their mindset. I'm going to say, Mrs. Jones, last question, did you have fun today? And when she says yes, I'm going to give her a high five every single time. Step 7. Somebody tell me what step 7 is.
Close the deal.
When's the last time you had your salespeople show you how they present prices? I can tell you guys as I travel around these clubs, we'll have a sales guy with us for 2 or 3 weeks on the team, and I go into the club. This person doesn't have a lot of invoice under their name yet. I'm like, man, what's going on? And I say, can you show me how you present prices? And when they show it to me, they confuse me. Man, if you're confusing me, do you think you're confusing a prospect? The price presentation needs to be structured. Very, very structured. For one, it allows you as a manager to duplicate yourself. If you don't have structure, how are you going to duplicate it? 2, it allows you, because you've memorized it and it's just, you can do it without even thinking, you can observe body language and facial expressions on the prospect, and you can stay 2 steps ahead of their objections. I don't want to be focusing on what to say. I want to be focusing on Mrs. Jones' face when I say Mrs. Jones once a week is going to be $260 a month. Does she look shocked or does she look excited? Does she look interested or did I just make that lead cold? I don't know unless I'm watching body language. I don't want to wait on her to say something. I want to read her before she talks. So structure. Get your people to show you what they've been doing. Just have them do it. And I think you'll be quite surprised. Can somebody tell me what the final step is of the sales process?
Post-close follow-up.
Yeah. Guys, we've had an uptick in 3-7 cancels in this market. And every single time I call the PTD, oh, no, we got a great post-close follow-up. No, everything's good on that. And say, hey, look, sometimes it probably is. I got great managers on this line. Don't get me wrong. Some of you guys do a great post-close follow-up. I know that. But I can tell you guys from experience, I've had 3-7 problems in the past. I've come in to fix clubs that had major attrition problems, major ethical problems. And look, sometimes when I would start getting 3-7s, just making a small adjustment, I can seal that leak. Sometimes, it was strange because it took extreme measures. I was literally like giving them a food list, having them text me when they went to the grocery store, calling them the next morning, making sure they talked to the trainer, making sure the trainer had the data on that person, was there when the trainer met them, make sure they were in the schedule more often the next day than any other day. Post-close follow-up is critical because as salespeople, our sale is not done when we close the deal. Our people have 3 days to cancel. So if you sign somebody up and they feel like you neglect them after you just took $660 out of their account, I promise you they're going to come back and cancel. Got to make sure that we take care of the people we put on our program. What kind of business are we running? Do we have a 5-star service? Or do we have a service that has nothing but negative reviews on Yelp? I don't know about you guys, but I would want to have that 5-star service. I've had that in this business, and it pays very well. Because what are the 2 main ways we can improve our business, guys? Front end and back end. And so many of us focus on the front end. We've been doing a great job making that turn, focusing on the back end. But this post-close follow-up, I can tell you guys right now, it's going to help your reputation. They're going to want to refer their friends because you're making a friend. You didn't just make a customer, you made a friend. Because you're in communication after you sold them the PT. You're following through on what you promised. We all need to learn to overpromise and over-deliver, if you guys get what I'm saying. I know we went a little bit over today, guys, but listen, if you need something from me or have any questions about this call, give me a call, okay? If you got staff that has questions, get me on the line. I would love to speak to them. I'm going to be putting this video up on YouTube also. Let's have a big afternoon, guys. We had a killer morning. If you guys need something from me, give me a call. Peace.